Hey, hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Chastity, and here we talk about beauty, entertainment, celebrities, TV shows, movies, books, and kind of anything else that garners my attention this week. And today, we will be talking about Get a Life, Chloe Brown, written by Talia Hibbert. In order for me to read this book, I actually, by accident, found this app called Hoopla. There, all you need is your library card, and then it connects you to your local library, and then you could borrow any books they have. And like, it's not just, it's like ebooks, audiobooks, comic books, and then you can also borrow like movies, TV shows, like music. Like I saw like Ariana Grande's new album on there. I saw Taylor Swift's new album on there. Like this app is actually really really cool, and I'm not sponsored by it, but like I really like using this app, and I feel like I had no idea this app existed, and I feel like other book readers who want to like read, and if you're like me, my local book, like my local library is like closed, so this is a great like alternative to that if you guys want to use it. It's called Hoopla, and it's actually really fun. This video is also in collaboration with my good friend Amanda June here on YouTube. We both read this book, and we both will be giving you our opinions and our views on this book. Her link to her video will be in the description box below. So we meet our main character Chloe Brown after she has a near-death experience. She was almost hit by a drunk driver, and while she's having this experience, she sees her whole life flash before her eyes, and she realizes she hasn't really done much. She hasn't really experienced much, and it was very disappointing for her. The reason why she hasn't really been able to go out and do much is because she deals with fibromyalgia, and she has chronic pain. Now, I really do love this about her character because she is a plus size black woman, and she does have what is considered invisible disabilities. And I found that as me as a person who does not have like disabilities period, the invisible disability community is very underrepresented, and I really enjoyed the telling of her story. I will get into that later, but I really felt like, especially from the standpoint of someone with an invisible visibility on top of being a black woman and being a plus size black woman at that, I found her story like in places where I could identify with because I'm a black woman and I already know how the medical field works when it comes to us, and then seeing a little bit inside from somebody who has a invisible disability. So again, after seeing that her life is pretty disappointing, Chloe makes a list. Now, this is why I like Chloe, because me and Chloe, we can resonate on this. I love me a good list. I love being goal oriented. I love being able to check things off my list. So she makes a list of things she wants to do, and I'll be reading off the things Chloe wants to do. Move out, which she actually does do. She does move out. She moves into this apartment complex, which we will get into that later. 2, enjoy a drunken night out. 3, ride a motorcycle. 4, go camping. 5, have a meaningless but thoroughly enjoyable sex. 6, travel the world with nothing but a hand luggage. And 7, do something bad. Another thing Chloe has checked off her list, which we will get to that soon. So yeah, Chloe does end up moving out, and here is when she and us meet her superintendent, Red. Now, Chloe and Red butt heads like nobody's business. They can very rarely, if ever, have a civil conversation. If Chloe and Red are speaking for extended amounts of time, somebody's getting disrespected, somebody's getting sassy, somebody's getting attitude. Now, they dislike each other for 2 completely different reasons. Red dislikes Chloe because she comes off like a know-it-all. She comes off very bougie. She comes off like she is above other people. And that reminds him of his very toxic, and we will get into Miss PP is how I call her, toxic ex-girlfriend. And again, when people remind you of toxic people, you're less likely to be receptive to them. Now, Chloe hates Red because he makes her feel things, emotions and stuff that she feels like because of her disabilities makes love difficult. So it makes no sense to fall for this man. And so because she has all this ooey gooey feelings for Red, it makes her a little mean. And as well, a lot of the times that Red has been around Chloe, she's been dealing with her chronic pain and dealing with her fibromyalgia. So she has already been in slight irritable moods, and then she has these extra emotions, and then Red. So it's a recipe for disaster. Through a series of events, Red ends up rescuing Chloe while she's rescuing a cat from a tree. They come to an agreement because the apartments that Chloe lives in does not allow pets. Red, her super, will allow her to keep this cat until they can find the owner if she helps him create a website for his art. Chloe went to school to be like a graphic designer and all that stuff, like computers and stuff like that. Like she's very good with that. Red was a pretty artist who was gaining a lot of momentum and steam, and during that time he met his now ex-girlfriend, who, I'm just gonna get into that relationship. It was extremely toxic. She made sure he knew he was worthless. She made sure he knew that all the success that he has garnered is because of her, and that he will be nothing when they break up. She was emotionally abusive and she was physically abusive. He allowed the physical abuse because she was so tiny, and to him the hits didn't hurt, but that doesn't mean it wasn't bad. Because something does not hurt does not mean it's okay. It got to a point where she actually ended up stabbing him in the hand with a fork. They're now broken up, but he has not fully moved past it, and because of everything he went through, he kind of pushed all his friends at the time away because he felt like they weren't really his friends. He used to make very bright and happy and cheerful art. Now his art very much so reflects the space that he's in, very dark, very dreary, very somber art. And we actually do see at one point Chloe, the one thing on her list is do something bad. And she watched Red through her windows paint shirtless, and that was her do something bad. So he is trying to rebuild his confidence with art again, and one of those steps is creating a website to showcase his art and possibly sell it. And Chloe, making websites, web designing, that's her forte, that's her wheelhouse, so they come together, work on that. And from that point forward, we kind of see their interactions change, how they treat each other, and kind of really garner a relationship, a real relationship. And as well, Red has decided to help her with her list, as well as now he's aware of her disabilities. And I personally really, really love this section of the book. All of the decisions that Red makes for Chloe regarding what they're going to do with her disability, like going camping, going clubbing, doing all of that, he is considerate of her disabilities without babying her. And I find that a lot of people seem to have a really tough time doing that, people with disabilities. That you're not supposed to treat them like they're children, like they're unable to do things, they're invalids. They're still people, especially when they're adults. These are still grown people. A grown person with a disability is still a grown person. You should still treat them as such. Be considerate of the disabilities, but don't baby them. And Red has such a good balance of that. Like he just very slightly will alter something to make it comfortable for her so she can still do it. But he's not treating her like a child, and I feel like a lot of people seem to not be able to grasp that. When it comes to dealing with people with any forms of disabilities, things you can see and things you can't see. Some of y'all really need to stop treating people with disabilities like they can't do anything, especially when they're adults. Don't baby adults. Regardless of what is wrong with them, they're still an adult. And I feel like Red does an amazing job of that. When they go camping, he makes sure the campsite is walkable for her. So just in case she does have a bout of chronic pain, she's able to get back home. I love that. I thought that was really nice and very sweet. Their whole relationship, like, makes me want to be in love. It is very cute. I also very much so enjoy the vulnerability Red has with Chloe. Again, it's very hard for men to be vulnerable, so it was really nice that he was able to share so much and explain his relationship with PP. I fucking hate her so much. I also very much so enjoyed being able to have a character with an invisible disability. Again, I don't have a disability, visible or otherwise, but it was still very nice to see someone like Chloe fall in love, because I feel like we have an archetype for who is the leads in romances and who is supposed to fall in love and who we're supposed to root for. But we got someone like Chloe who, again, is a dark-skinned black woman, is plus size. Another thing I really enjoyed was the section of her talking about how hard it was to get a diagnosis. Because I can imagine with people with invisible disabilities, it is very difficult to get someone to believe you. And it hurts. You have people with degrees and stuff who are supposed to, be the top in their field, telling you there's nothing wrong, but you're living in this body. You are experiencing it every day and you know something is wrong. And it's just having an invisible disability and then being a black woman on top of that. We already know the medical field is not black women friendly after everything black women have gone through with science and with medical science and the ways in which our bodies were used, to now where we're not even believed when we say we're in pain because the assumption is we can handle pain. And I feel like there were so many factors with how Chloe's medical experience was mishandled and mistreated. There was a point where she was asked to leave the room and the doctor spoke to her father and said that maybe it's a mental health issue. And I just can't imagine what it's like to know that you are in pain like this and no one believes you. And because of this, a lot of Chloe's friends, and at the time her fiance, all left her. Her ex-fiance, because he's so fact-based, and since there was no way to prove that Chloe was in pain and something was wrong with Chloe, he thought she was lying. And that is upsetting. It's disgusting and gross. How dare you not believe her? I don't understand what would have been gained from her lying about being in pain. What was gained? Truly and honestly nothing, but he's a man, so I don't respect much from him. Get a Life, Chloe Brown was a fantastic read. I enjoyed every second of that book. I am super excited to read more of what this author has written. I know she has this book and then she has 2 books, one coming out, one that already came out, about Chloe's sisters and their love lives, and I'm really interested in those as well. This book it made me feel, it had such feel-good feelings. I enjoyed reading these 2 fall in love, and it happened gradually and it was paced beautifully and I had an amazing time. I don't usually read adult fiction. I'm usually stuck in YA, but me and my friend wanted to do this video, and I've truly and honestly enjoyed every second of this book and would love to kind of venture, now that I am 22, venture more into adult fiction and kind of not fully leave YA alone, but definitely trying to read more, age appropriate books, I guess. So that's pretty much it. Tell me what you think. Have you read Get Life, Chloe Brown? After watching this video, do you want to read Get Life, Chloe Brown? If so, I will definitely suggest using Hoopla. If you don't want to go out and buy the book, it's a great app to use. Again, I'm not sponsored. I just really, really enjoy it. Also, I have the Tiny Pretty Things book. I will be reading this soon. I'm going to make a video on the book, and then I'm going to make a video comparing the book to the show as well. I have the Vladimir Tod books. I was thinking about starting something on my channel called Nostalgia Reads, where I read nostalgic books from when I was growing up, books that were super popular around that time, or books that I really, really loved. If you like that idea and you have any nostalgic books you want me to read, please leave those in the comments below. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.